A very happy Teachers' Day to all of you. Teachers' Day reminds us that this is the day when we pay our respect, our gratitude to all those who have helped us grow in our lives and succeed. I would say that the first people who really help us, who are our best teachers, are our parents. So today I would like to pay tribute and express my gratitude to my parents who are in heaven and my grandfather. And I would particularly say that all elders in the family, but my mother and my grandfather in particular, were my best teachers. As we go into the school, now the teachers start shaping our careers, our lives. And generally in our lives, we have 30 to 40 teachers who teach us from the beginning of our school to the end of our college. But out of these 30, 40 teachers, how many do we really remember? And the general answer is 3 to 6, 7. So if you try to reflect, who are these few teachers that you remember and the others you don't? And the answer came in a TEDx talk which I saw, in which he said that the teachers who taught you just the subject matter are the ones you normally will not remember. Because their agreement with you was, or their relationship with you was only to make you pass the exam, which they did. The matter is over. But those who not only taught you the subject, but also taught you values of life, also taught you things beyond just academics, are the ones you will remember for long. So when I reflect, one of my earliest teachers in class 6 in St. Edward School, Shemla, was Mrs. D'Souza. Mrs. D'Souza was a unique teacher. She had a very good connection with all her students. She knew everyone's family background and everything in a way that she connected with you. It was not only that she was teaching you a subject, she was actually like taken care of your life. Fast forward 22 years. I was attending staff college in Wellington. One day on a holiday, I took out my wife on my motorbike for a joyride. And we were just winding up the roads of Kannur, beautiful place. And we came across a bungalow on which, on the gate, there was a typical army style nameplate, a black background with white painted letters saying Major D'Souza retired. I knew that Mrs. D'Souza's husband is a major, no, undoubtedly. And somewhere I recalled that when we were doing a farewell party of Mrs. D'Souza, she had said that I'm going to settle down in the Nilgiris. And I remembered from our geography and all, Nilgiris is what Blue Mountains in the south of India. And of course, now when I was into staff college, I knew that we are in the Nilgiris. So, Major D'Souza, Nilgiris, every possible chance that this must be the same Mrs. D'Souza. I slowed down, stopped the bike. My wife stepped down and she says, "What's happened?" I said, "I think this is my teacher's house." She said, "How do you say that?" I said, "My guess." She said, "Oh." So I started walking towards the bungalow and she came behind and she said, "What are you doing? You can't be going into a stranger's house like that." And I said, "Don't worry. If at all it is not Mrs. D'Souza, nobody's going to kick me out. You'll just say that. I'm sorry, I'm not the same Mrs. D'Souza." By then, I'd reached the door, rang up the bell, and after a few moments, the door opened. And there was the same Mrs. D'Souza, the tall, graceful, gorgeous woman, except her silver white hair, silver gray hair. Nothing had changed. The same smile, the same glow. I said, "Ma'am, you won't know me, but I'm Captain Bhasin and I studied in class 6 with you in St. Edward School, Shimla." Suddenly, there was a glow on her face and she ushered us inside and she says, "Come, come, come." So as we were walking into the drawing room, she started asking me questions. Were you with Deepak Sood and all some names she took? I said, "Ma'am, that was 6B. I was with you in 6A. Ah, so you were with Cindy Litter and you were with Deepak Sood and all." I said, "Yes, ma'am." By then, we had got to the sofa. She made us sit down and she's still trying to identify who I was. And mind you, it's 22 years later. And then she said, "Did your father have a chemist shop in Chota Shimla?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, he still has." She says, "Get up, get up." I got a little scared. Why is she doing that? And the moment I got up, she hugged me. She had tears in her eyes and she says, "That little Sushil has become a captain." Friends, teachers who teach for money are not in the right place. She did not brag about how much money she earned in her 20, 30 years of teaching, but the joy of having a student come back to you after 22 years to take the courage of coming into your house to meet you is the joy every teacher looks at. In the army, I have been a trainer, instructor for a long time. And now, for 20 years after I left the army, I've been into training. I now know how good you feel. Today's Teachers' Day, and I'm getting floods of messages from my students. That is the joy we look for. That is the joy that a teacher looks for. I then went on to Sainik School Kapurthala. I can talk of many because I studied in Sainik School Kapurthala for 4.5 years. And I could have, uh, I can talk so much about the school. There were teachers because now it was a residential school. So more than just the academic teachers, there were also like housemaster. So Mr. Mittal was my housemaster for the longest time. He was very unpopular because of his strictness. But today we remember him a lot because his strictness had taught us a lot. Then was Mr. Chachi and his wife, Mrs. Chachi, who was at in the beginning, she was Miss Das, and she was the principal's daughter. And then uh, they got married there only. And I can tell you they were both teaching English. So I think not only the two individuals got married, but the English got married, and they both made very very good teachers. And I think many students of our school will never be able to forget Mr. Chachi. He was universally respected. He was also strict, and but he was very very highly respected, and so was Mrs. Chachi. Sorry. Now there were many more teachers. Mr. Mohan Singh was my Hindi teacher. He became a very, very, he became close to me. He had come to Shimla. He had stayed in my house. His daughter used to tie Rakhi to me and all that. So that school, another couple of, there was two Tankha brothers, Mr. H.N. Tankha and Mrs. and R.N. Tankha. Uh, surprisingly, just yesterday, I saw Mr. H.N. Tankha in my dreams. And in fact, I found that his son and two grandsons were teachers there. I mean, that was in the dream. Anyway, so you dream of your teachers, you look at them with that type of pride. So I would say that from Scenic School, I went to NDA, IMA, and then 34 years in the army. So these 38 years plus 4.5 years in Kapurthala, so about let's say 42 years. 42 years in uniform doing PT and drill, I have got formed into whatever I am today with hundreds of these people, whether they were instructors in NDA, they were seniors in NDA, IMA, and then throughout our life, our instructors, our senior officers in our battalions, our peers, all of them had a lot to do in shaping up my career. For the last 20 years, when I've been into the corporate and the education world, hundreds of trainers, coaches, mentors I have been through. If I talk of the very top ones, went all the way to Sydney to do Tony Robbins UPW. I've done I've been in the inner circle of Brian Tracy, who's also endorsed my book, Million Dollar Second, and Blair Singer, and many others. Then there have been many, many other trainers, Rajiv Talreja, for example. I would say a very high tribute to Surain of Success Gyan. I think he has been instrumental. I think he'll one day be in the history books of India for being a person who really made education his aim, educate India beyond the school. So today I would like to say that all these people, and it's very difficult to name each one of them. I've just mentioned some names that came up top of my mind. Doesn't mean that they were the only ones. There were many, many more. So today, with this video, I am trying to say that all those who came in my life, whether I took their names or not, I want to pay my sincere tribute, my gratitude, and thank you very much, all of you. I will continue to look forward and lean towards all those who help me in shaping up my life. Thank you very much. See you next Teachers' Day. Bye.